Hello there, Carm3D with you on the tube, and let's see, Sphere 3D, edit. Alright, today we're going to look at some ZBrush stuff in relation to Lightwave, in relation to animation, more specifically in relation to character animation, even more specifically related to using more than one displacement map and morphing between them over the course of an animation, and the things you got to watch out for in that, because I've had ZBrush for quite some time now. I think it was I can't remember the version it was when I had it. It was like maybe 2 point something, but it's come a long way, and it's really awesome. But I was kind of given a some bad instruction when I first got it, and it kind of set me off in the wrong path. And just recently, I've gotten around that, and I've figured it out, specifically related to what we're going to show today. And so, because I haven't really seen a lot of instruction about this particular topic out there, out in the wild, it may be in commercial tutorials, I do not know, but I want to share it with you here just for free, just because it's fun, right? So, so I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Got to make Polymesh 3D. There we go. And let's put on symmetry. There it is. Activate symmetry. Alright, it's also the X key, but I'm lazy. It's also because my keyboard is not on my desk. Alright, so I'm just going to make a simple shape here. Nothing real fancy. I was thinking, think we could make like a neck. And, you know, when people get really angry or they're struggling or whatever, the tendons in their neck stick out, so we can use that with ZBrush to have them animate. And I'm just going to basically go over the whole process with you. I hope you weren't planning on doing anything special. So if I'll use no, where is it? Dynamesh. There we go. Dynamesh. Okay, cool. So let's carve out a neck area here. Here, some clavicles. I'm not going to go super detailed because that's really not the point of this video. But I typically do tend to go overboard anytime I'm doing something creative. I'm not going to put an Adam's apple on this because then we're kind of restricted to having the Adam's apple in one place. But if we put the Adam's apple in later on in Lightwave, then we can have it move up and down the throat when the character goes gulp, stuff like that. This is really an ugly neck, but it doesn't matter. Let's go back to move. Alright, let's use the damn standard to put some damn details in here. There we go. Okay, I think this is good enough. This is plenty good for what we want to do. So I'm going to save this model, and I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to yeah. Well, first we'll just save it as it is, and then I'm going to bring it into Lightwave, and we'll move on from there. Okay, bad news. I loaded this, or saved this as a OBJ from ZBrush, and I loaded it into Lightwave. And then I proceeded to record as I retopologized the model, but there was a crash, a problem with the recording, so I lost that. But you can see I have the retopologized model ready to go here. I guess what I'll do is just really quickly show you what I did, a little slice of it anyway. Let's go in a new layer, put that in the background. I was using a Lightwave brush by Third Powers. It's got some cool tools for that kind of stuff, like topology. You can do stuff like this. And you can also use the extend tool, which is really slick. The extend tool does multiple functions. First is you can drag your points and it will keep it moving along the surface of the background model. And if you right click and drag on an edge, it pulls it out to a new polygon. And if you drag points to another point, it snaps them together, merges them. All that in the same tool, so it's really optimized and well thought out, and it's just great. So basically I went and did this for the whole model, and then for one side of it. And then, well, let me just move these guys up to here, to the center point. Pick these points, make sure they're on 0. You can see when I'm dragging this left and right where the best place to put this point is, and that's right there, right in the center of that valley. But anyway, I don't need to retopologize this thing twice. I don't use the mirror tool because it has caused problems with me in the past with functions like FX Metalink, which I don't use anymore because it's been replaced by other things, by third powers. But anyway, it's caused some weird anomalous problems. So I found that if I just pick all the points, hit copy, paste, and then scale, and make it negative 100% on the X, flip it over, and then merge the points, that avoids any problems. So that's what I do from now on when it comes time for mirroring. I don't use the mirror function, I just do it that way. But anyway, let's get rid of that because we don't need that, because we got this, the retopologized model, and I already did save it. I'll just show you again. Export OBJ, and I saved it as neck retopo. And now let's go back to ZBrush. Okay, we're back in ZBrush. Let's move this over here and import. By the way, when I save those models as OBJs, you use the export button. You don't use save as, because that only saves as a ZTL file. Here's my original raw sculpt. Isn't it beautiful? And let's go to Subtool, Duplicate, and select the new copy, and then import. There we go. Okay, so now I got the retopologized model and the raw. So basically, I'm going to project this. No. Come on. I can't select that one. That's weird. Okay, there we go. I'm going to project this onto... I don't know what the deal is with that. You know what I'm talking about. I'm putting a high detail model over the top of the low detail model. But first of all, I selected it now. I have this low detail model selected. I'm going to go into the geometry section here and add some subdivisions. Divide, divide, divide. And that should be plenty. So now let's go to Subtool, Project. Oh, wait. I think I select this one to project. And let's project all. And that didn't work. Okay, I think it's because the distances were too great. So let's increase the distance here. There we go. Wait, I did it the wrong way. It went from the retopo to the other one. So let's select the retopo and choose project all. Alright, and now we need more distance. Yeah, that looks good. Okay, so I don't even need this anymore. This raw thing, delete that. Okay, now all we have left is this model, which is the same shape as before, but now you can see the polygons are more flowy in an organic manner. Alright, so from here, I guess I'll just do a tiny bit of fine-tuning. Oh, wait a minute. Let's go back. Let's go forward. I didn't have symmetry on. Okay. Now another noteworthy thing about ZBrush is when it comes time to just regular old sculpting, it's good to constantly move back and forth to different resolutions. You can even go all the way back to 0. Like for example, if I wanted to move, let me think here. I'm trying to think of a good example. Okay, here's a good example. Damn standard. Where's that damn standard? There it is. Okay. So let's say I had something with high detail. Okay, it looks like I need even more resolution for this kind of work. Divide again. Okay. So let's say I have these details here, but I want to have the whole area bulge out more. I go down to this low resolution. I can pull it out. And I can even use the smooth tool, but this is not destroying the details in here. Only if you're on this level and you smooth, then it gets rid of that. Or if you are in the medium level, if I smoothed here, this would destroy it. Well, it destroyed some of it. But basically what I'm saying is, when you jump down to this low level, you are only modifying the points you can see, and the stuff you can't see is untouched, and which is handy. Like if you want to do some broad changes, like so you're sculpting a fingernail, but then you want the whole finger to be longer, you just go down to the lowest level and drag out the whole group of points, and then your fingernail details are still preserved. Anyway, that's beside the point. What we want to do is, first let's get rid of this. Okay, so let's just call this finished for our base neck, and then we'll make an alternate version where the tendons are more emphasized. So what we do is go down to this level, export this, and we'll just call this neck. No underscore, nothing, just neck. Okay. But there is a problem. We cannot bake our displacement map because there are no UVs. And I did this intentionally because I wanted to show you how the UV plugin works. UV Master. Let's save this model. Now I exported last time, but now I'm just going to save the Z tool. The Z tool! My voice cracked. Okay. So I saved the Z tool and I exported the OBJ. Now I could use the UV tools in ZBrush, but that's too easy. No, it's better for me to show you doing it in Lightwave because that'll show you more functionality. So let's go back to Lightwave. Okay, here we are in Lightwave, and I need my keyboard. I don't have enough room for my keyboard and my tablet, so I have to move them back and forth when I switch applications. Okay. Note that whenever you load an OBJ from ZBrush, the glossiness is always down to 0, which makes it look really weird and kind of metallic looking. But if you put this at a more, well, at a non-zero value, you'll see that it's actually supposed to be really dark. So you brighten that up, and now we're getting close to like a standard basic material. Anyway, let's select these edges. I'm just going to use the ABF unwrap. Okay, let's move this over so you can see. ABF UV unwrap. There's the unwrap. Now we can optimize it a little bit. This is one thing that's not so easy to do. It's possible, but it's not so easy to do in ZBrush using its UV tools. Again, let me stress, it is possible, and I just learned that recently. Their Ask ZBrush YouTube series is pretty cool. But anyway, that's something that's a little more natural for me to do is in doing UV editing in Lightwave. Or Silo. Silo does nice UV tools too. Let's export this as an OBJ. The same OBJ. Wait, I forgot something. You gotta go in here and apply the UV. otherwise it won't export it with the OBJ. Okay, back to ZBrush. Okie dokie. Move that up there. I think that'll be better. First thing I'm going to do is load up import my OBJ. Okay, now I can't do much with this because this does not have the displacement details, the high-res details. What you see is what we get with this. But that's okay, all we want is the UV information. So you go to Z plugin UV master, copy UVs. Now I'm going to load my other tool. There we go. Now we got the full details there. Go back to Z plugin. It might tell us to go back to the lowest level there. Paste UVs. Boom. Now the handcrafted UVs, well, mostly handcrafted UVs, are in our ZBrush model. Okay. Let's go to UV map, and I think this is plenty enough resolution. 1024 for a neck. And let's go to displacement map, turn adaptive on, and create displacement map. And we watch the, oh, that was quick, it's done. Okay, so clone displacement map. Let's move this over so you can see. Clone displacement map. That puts it over here and also over here. Flip the verticals and export. And so we'll call this, well, first of all, choose a TIFF. Neck, default, displace. And actually, I forgot to do something. So I'm going to put underscores there for a moment. Yeah, the thing I forgot to do, sorry, it's a little awkward for me because I have my keyboard in my lap, is to check this number here. 09326. That's important. Let's see here. Let me just pull up the location where these files are. Oh, 9326. Okay. So I'm basically adding a note in the displacement map what the actual amplitude should be. And more about that later. Alright, the next, I'm going to export this as an OBJ. I probably don't need to. The other one's probably fine, but export neck OBJ. Okay. So now we have everything we need for just bringing this into Lightwave, applying the displacement map, and looking at it like a statue, which is, it's fine for most purposes, for non-animation purposes. But now, let's see. Geometry. Yeah. Okay. Displacement map. How do we clear this? I think we need to clear it in here. I think that's all we need to do. Alright, so basically I want to sculpt in the tendons that stick out when someone's making an angry face. So let's jump down to, I think 3 should be plenty. Let's go back up to 5. Alright, so let's try dam standard with a negative effect. I think that might give us the look we want. I don't know where these all go, you know. I have to look them up to be accurate, but again, just for demonstration purposes. Oops. I want this to be a little more exaggerated just so it's very obvious what's going on. What's going on? Yeah. I don't know how accurate it is, but it's good enough for now. Alright. Now let's save this as neck stressed. Okay. And before I do anything else, I want to show you something in a regular old 2D paint program that will explain what I just recently learned and has been eluding me for so long. That is kind of the key point here. A little darker blue there. Okay. So let's say that this is a cross-section of our model. Okay. And at subdivision 0, it looks something like this. We got a point here and then straight edge here, point here. Okay. That's the raw, unsubdivided model. Okay. So then we take that into ZBrush and we do some simple displacements as well as subdivisions, and the result would be something like this. Again, it's a combination of being smoothed and also our displacements. And what happens in ZBrush is I lost my blue. Where's my favorite blue? Okay, I should actually go to a dark blue. What happens is, as you do these displacement paintings, it is also tweaking these points because it's all the same model. It's just it's this same point plus a lot more that it makes when you subdivide it. So when you tell this to bulge outward like this point that used to be here will now be over here. And it looks like this one's pretty much unchanged. And so the result is your raw model will be over here. Which is not a big deal because when you are ready to move all this stuff over to Lightwave, you would export your OBJ at level 0. In other words, your OBJ, and the displacement data via the displacement map. Okay. So that's all fine and dandy, but now let's say we have a second shape we want to do, like our stressed neck. Okay. And that, the cross-section of that with the displacement version, let's say it would look something like this. Okay. Now that is going to push this model out to something like this. With straight lines connecting these. And this is the point that I I wanted to stress here that I recently learned, and now you're going to learn, is you cannot simply make your alternate shape and then export it as a new displacement map. You also have to save it as another OBJ, because the original raw zero subdivision profile has changed. So when you want to have your alternate shape with alternate displacements, it is a combination of the raw model moving around plus the alternate displacement map. So now let's go back to ZBrush. Okay, here we are with our stressed neck here. We saved it as a ZTL file, but now we need to export the elements that Lightwave needs to work with. So let's go down to level 0, or 1 rather. Export this. Now this again is different from the original model, so it's important we export the OBJ of both of these guys. So we'll say neck stressed OBJ. Good. And in the displacement map, create displacement map again. Adaptive is on. My voice cracked again. There we go. You can see when I hover my mouse over it, we can see these stress lines in there. Clone it. Alpha, flip to vertical, export. And we'll call this neck stressed. Oh, again, I forgot the number, because this number will be different again. 09326. Actually, that might be the same number, but it is the same number. So that's fine. We don't need to write that down again. But it may be different when you do it. It depends on how much the distance between your lowest level model is and the how far it pushes it out in displacements. So let's move back to Lightwave and put all this stuff together. Okay, let's load the neck. It's asking us to locate a neck.bmp. There is no such thing, so we'll hit no there. Okay. There we go. I thought it would be nice to make a neck of color. Alright, let's hit the subdivide tab key there. Save the model. Neck.lwo, save. Okay. Let's see. Let's go to Lightwave now. Layout. Okay, here's our model. Okay. Surface editor. Now this is important to note, because when Lightwave 2016 comes out, this is all going to change. But this is how it is now. I'm using version 11, but even if you're using 2015, it's pretty much the same. I don't have it, but I'm pretty sure it hasn't changed much. But this is how it has to be done. I know that you go in here, deform, and we got displacement stuff, but you don't do it in there. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work. That's what's going to change in 2016. But let's go in here. Let's load up our displacement map. Default. This is important for displacement maps. You turn the bitmap off. And let's choose our UV map. and take the luma and put that into displacement. Okay. Now this displacement information does not do anything until we turn this on. And let's put this on the value of 1, as in 1 meter. Considering it only bulged out a little bit, this must be an enormous mech. But that's okay. We could turn smoothing on. That's a little better. And let's increase the number of subdivisions. Let's put on 5, so that when it comes time for the stress version, we'll see those details more. Okay. So this is probably not new to most of you when it comes time to bringing in ZBrush displacement images. ZBrush uses mid-gray for no change whatsoever, and then darkness is dented in and whites is dented out. But for Lightwave it uses black for no change, so we need to move this 0.5 value of gray down to 0. So you go Math, Scalar, Add, and I need my keyboard back. Negative 0.5. There we go. Plug that in there. And it's getting closer. It's just too much. And then we'd go Math, Multiply, and we set this value to 0.09326, that magic number that ZBrush gave us when we did the displacement map. So there we go. This now look exactly like it did in ZBrush, which doesn't look too much different from when we loaded the raw model in, but that's because we were working with something that was pretty simple to begin with. But take my word for it, that's the steps you want for getting it to look like it was in ZBrush. Okay, now for the fun part. Let's set this to 15 frames of animation. And okay, let's. I'm going to add a null. This would not be necessary in an ultra simple example scene like this, but just for good practice, we're going to do it. We'll say neck displacement controls. Okay, so the next thing we do is fire up Notepad to take notes, because this is going to be very complicated for fully realized characters, not for our scene, but we're going to say X neck stressed. Okay, and again, entirely unnecessary for this example scene, but you'll see what I'm talking about later. Okay, so to make this work, we need the morph information to mimic the displacement information. We need them both firing at the same time. Unfortunately, they're both done in different locations. The displacement data is done in the surface editor, and the morph is done in the displacement area. Again, Lightwave 2016, I believe, will remedy this. They'll all be in the same place, so that will simplify things. But for now, this is the best way to approach it, in my opinion. Let's select this guy here and go to this deformation, and in here we need to tell our morph to morph. So vertex map, morph map, oh, you know what? I forgot to actually install that. That's okay. But we need to turn this off for now. You can see now, before and after. All right, this is raw model. This is with the displacement map. So we turn that off. Load the other model. Actually, we should put this back down to 0 for now. There we go. Okay, let's load neck stressed. We don't need that BMP again. Okay. Let's hide this. Okay. Now, we are going to create a morph map based on the other models, the other OBJ. They both happen to have the same number of points. Their point order is identical because they were both sent out directly from ZBrush. We haven't made any point additions or subtractions since then, so it's all going to be good. Again, we're choosing the neck, morph target, neck stressed. Slide that out there to 100%. You can see that the topology changes a little bit when we do that. Now we go save object, save object, save endomorph. This does not save the object, it's just adding to the object. And we'll say stressed. Okay, and we should probably save the model at this point. We don't need this anymore. Save object, save current object. Okay. Now we go in here. Now we can choose stressed. Okay. Now, again, for an ultra dirt simple scene like this, this green value is the amount we could just animate it manually. But that's not going to help us when it comes time to having a complex character with all sorts of different morphs going on, using displacements shifting with the morphs. So here's what we do. We go to item info. There we go. Okay. And we choose that. I double clicked on this, I pulled up this, and we're going to choose the actual item in question, which is that null neck displace controls. There we go. Okay. So again, we made a note. X is for neck stressed. Very good. So we got position, rotation, and scale. So we're going to go to Tools, Vector Scaler, plug the position vector into the vector scaler, and we'll tell it we want the X channel. So now we have a scalar value that we can plug into here that can control this morph. And guess what? We can copy this, go in the surface editor, paste that in here, and use this to control the amplitude of the stressed version, as well as fading this out at the same time. But the first thing we need to do is animate that stressed controller. That's not it. There it is. That's what we want to animate. And oh, this must be our neck. I don't know why it's got a name of 1.00000. But anyway, we don't need this here anymore. Okay. Let's save this object copy and then replace it. There, now it doesn't have that funky name anymore. I don't know what caused that. Anyway, select neck underscore displace controls, go in the graph editor, and the X value will start at 1, frame 0, we'll have the value of 0, and we'll say on frame 15 we'll have the value of 1. And yeah, why don't we make it looping? And we'll put a little tension down there. Okay, cool. And we'll slide the last frame over here, 25. Okay, so you can see, hey, it's working already. As the little null slides over on the X, which we should hide anyway. Hidden, we don't need that showing up, cluttering the workspace, but you can see it's affecting the displacements. Speaking of displacements, let's put this back over to level 5 there. Okay, good. Alright, surface editor. Presumably our morph is finished. Okay, so we got this, we got that, brings the gray to black, and we got this is telling it it's the ZBrush value. Now we'll put another multiply. And we want this to be the opposite of this, because when it's on 0, we want this to be at 100%. So I think invert will do it. Actually, it might not. We might just need to do it the mathematical way. Now let's see if invert works. Let's see what that says. 1 on frame there. Yeah, I think this will work. Okay. I don't think it's working. We'll get to that later. Let's copy this. And swap the image with stressed. And we want these guys again. And yep, that's the same number. Multiply. Okay. And then add. Alrighty. So theoretically, yeah, I think this is working, but the settings are not finished yet. So we need to go back in here. And tweak. Oh, this isn't even active. Okay, that would explain it. Okay, I think it's partially working at this point. I think these need to be tweaked with. It's one of these. Okay, enough of that. I got it figured out now. Yeah, here's the problem. As it is in Lightwave, and again, this is something that will be remedied in 2016, Lightwave 2016, but right now, it appears to me this is the only way to solve this. The first step to do, turn off the displacements. Okay, put this down to last. Put this down to 0. Keep this as it is, our morphs. So basically, what we're doing at this point, and this will work too if you have bones, so we would be baking our bones plus morphs, but not the displacements. You bake it out. And we'll bake that as neck.mdd. Okay. Now, disconnect that. Add the MDD displacement. Boom, boom. All right, now, whoops, put that back on. Let's add some value there. Don't need to see the wireframes. And I think this would be after bones. There it is. It's working. Okay, so yeah, it's tricky because you can't have it all working at once. You need to bake out your raw model at level 0 last. Set this to last so that nothing's funky going on, along with your morphs. So bake bones plus morphs into an MDD. Then turn off your morphs, plug your MDD into there, and then turn on your displacement maps. Now everything works together nicely, and looks perfect. And so that's it. I know it's tricky. Again, Lightwave 2016 will do this much better, but if you don't have Lightwave 2016, you can't afford it like me, I'm saving up. It's going to be a while. 2017 might be out before I can afford it. But if you can't afford 2017, this appears to be the best way to do it. I could be wrong. There might be a better way, but I haven't stumbled across it yet. But this does work. And I tried it in another project, and I'm trying it now. And I'm very, very happy with the results. So I hope you enjoyed this and got something from it. And happy light waving.